I don't really like to talk about politics, but there's really nothing better to talk about right now. The Iowa caucus is tomorrow. A lot of people are going to be casting their votes. So I suppose as an American I have something of a responsibility to speak up. You might wonder what affiliation I have politically. Well, to be honest, I dislike putting people into camps. Republican, Democrat, Independent. I suppose I largely consider myself a liberal, though as Americans, well, as human beings, everyone's an individual. There are many Republicans, I'm sure, who believe things which are generally attributed to the Democratic camp, and there are many Democrats who will probably agree with things which are on the Republicans' rule book. But I suppose to streamline things, we need to have a party system. So I'll just throw this out there. For my part, I suppose I would support Bernie Sanders, more or less. I like the cut of his jib. Gib? I can never decide if that's supposed to be a soft G. Anyway. There are plenty of candidates that I dislike. There are one or two candidates I would have liked more, but of the candidates who have a likely shot at the big seat, I would go for Bernie Sanders, I think. Yeah, more or less. Who do I like the least? Well, who else? You know, don't even want to say. All right. You can vote for that guy if you want. I'll do my best to respect your decision. But I will ask this of you. Give it some thought. Really. No, really. Let yourself consider the alternatives. Donald Trump has largely risen to prominence through the enthusiasm and the anger of his supporters. It's funny, actually, as I was recording, Independence Day is playing in the background elsewhere in my home. The girl with the mob and the billboard standing on top of the building right beneath the alien death ray screaming, "I hope they bring back Elvis!" Isn't that a perfect metaphor for a presidential election? You stand under something that seems great and big and messianic, only for it to completely blow up in your face. That's how it often happens, isn't it? Don't vote for Donald Trump. I know I said I don't want you to tell you to just not vote for anybody because you're entitled to your point of view, but seriously, don't vote for Donald Trump. There are other people that I would prefer you didn't vote for, but if there's one guy in particular, I don't really want you to vote for Cruz either. I don't really like any of the Republicans right now. I mean, any of the Republican candidates. There are Republican people who, well, now that makes it sound like I don't think that the candidates are people. But no, there are, individual Republicans who aren't running for president who I'm sure you get along famously with. Like I said, I don't like putting people into camps. You see, the Republicans and the liberals and the Democrats, we're all supposed to work together in this. We're all supposed to benefit. Read an article recently. Everybody's chortling at how the Conservative Party is self-destructing, but it's not necessarily a good thing because in many ways we need the Conservatives. They offer an alternate point of view. We need opposing camps to help rein us in, but we need to listen and respect one another because there's always something to be gained from looking at something from a new perspective. Donald Trump, I suppose, I oppose primarily because he, more than anyone else, discourages looking at things from different points of view. Well, I don't want to go off on this because I could. If you support Donald Trump, that's your right as an American. If you're a Republican, fine, great. many great Republicans. If you're a Democrat, fine, great. There are many great Democrats out there. There are many great people of every party who give thought and compassion into their points of view. But Donald Trump is not like that. He's not... I don't want to say I disagree with what he believes, because I'm not sure he believes anything. He's just saying what's politically advantageous to get votes. At least that's my impression of him. I don't want to tell people definitively which way to... Don't vote for Donald Trump. Just don't. Anyone but him. And there are other... Alright, all I'll say is, if you want to vote for Donald Trump, just give it some thought. Honestly, give it a little extra thought. Please. I read another article that pointed out a lot of people are drawn to the man because he seems unconventional, like he's a new kind of politician. But he's not. He's the oldest kind of politician there is. And he's not saying new things, he's saying dumb things. None of his proposals make any sense. You can't keep Muslims out of the country. It's a religion, not an ethnicity. You cannot test people at the gate for what their personal beliefs are. And guess what? You'd only be able to keep out the honest ones. Terrorists would lie. You can't make the death sentence mandatory for all cop killings. That is absurd. You can't turn off the internet in certain places. It doesn't work that way. You can't put a wall between Mexico and America that ignores the even if you could do that, and you can't. There are people with private property along the line. They're not going to give up their property so that you can build a wall that's almost 2,000 miles long and 100 feet high. We need to hire like 60,000 new border guards. And it's not even really... For the first time since 1940, look, arrests are at an all-time low. Many illegal immigrants are leaving the country now. For the first time in decades. Look, you can say that it's still a problem, I suppose, but it is not so much of a problem now that we need to put a ridiculous, permanent, super blockade spanning the width of Mexico and America's border down between us. Dr. Seuss would come up with that as a metaphor for something. Just don't vote for Donald Trump. What are you thinking? If you want to vote for Donald Trump, I will respect it because I believe in respecting other people's points of view. That's important. But Donald Trump doesn't believe in respect. It's not about respect for him. He doesn't respect anybody. He's a sociopath. Wake up! Take off the beer goggles! This guy isn't presidential material. He's like a 7-year-old. A nasty 7-year-old. Have you read his tweets? Some of the stuff the guy has retweeted from neo-Nazi websites. With no sense of irony. He said just vile stuff about women, to say nothing of the racist stuff. You could not imagine anyone why do you... No, if you want to vote for Donald Trump, fine. I'm not going to yell at you for... Well, I admit I was just yelling at you. I don't want to be angry. And this guy's running on a platform of anger. Like we should be angry. Oh yes, we should be outraged by what's... No. Guys, come on. Anger's one thing, but it's like fear. It's a means to an end. It's not an end. You don't let yourself be guided by emotions like fear and anger. You can be advised by them, but let yourself be guided by this. Not by these. Alright, look, if you want to vote for Donald Trump, fine, I'm sure you have your reasons. I have actually debated this with certain people who seem very intelligent. Some of his other supporters don't come off as similarly intelligent, but... Look, just give it some thought. I can't tell you not to vote for the guy if you really want to vote for the guy, but just give it some thought. Think about it, won't you?